Did you know that there was a Spider-Woman cartoon from 1979 to 1980, making her the first female superhero lead cartoon character? Now, why is Spider-Woman the first female superhero cartoon lead? Now, I don't mean any hate towards Spider-Woman, as I really do like the character from the comics. But of all the female characters and all the female superheroes, why is Spider-Woman the good one that got the show? This is order and to secure the rights of the name, because there was another show in production over at Hanna-Barbera called SpiderWoman, which Stan Lee didn't like, so Marvel rushed the character out along with a TV show in order to beat that version of the character. With Spider-Woman now being a official character in comic books and having her own show, Hanna-Barbera was forced to change the name of their show before it even came out. They changed the name to Webwoman, which, in my opinion, isn't as cool as Spider-Woman, but I understand. Although the character, in my opinion, in the show itself, was very weird. I watched one episode of Webwoman, and in my opinion, I didn't understand what was happening. It involved a giant scorpion, and I didn't understand. Or if it wasn't a scorpion, it was some sort of bug, or like scorpion or insect. I didn't understand. Either way, I thought the show itself was understandably why they did not want to call her Spider-Woman, because if they called her Spider-Woman, the name would be owned by Hanna-Barbera forever, well, as long as they copyrighted it, of course, meaning that name, which in my opinion is a great name, would have been lost in time because of this 16-episode cartoon from Hanna-Barbera, which is, in my opinion, like I said, a good thing that didn't happen, because Webwoman was not a character or a cartoon with staying power. But back to Spider-Woman. Her history in comics is very strange. From being a literal spider, and then not being a spider, it was really weird. But since the show was in production at the same time as she was brought into comics, that meant they had nothing to work with. No origin, no powers, no villains, no supporting characters. All they knew was her costume and her name. On the show, the character has a origin very similar to that of Beast Boy's, having fallen ill, and because of this, her father must save her life, in ways involving a spider, because that's always a good idea, resulting in her having spider powers. That's convenient, and becoming Spider-Woman. Now, on to the show itself, it does seem very confused when it comes down to why she shares a similar name with Spider-Man. Now, in comics, they have no relation, but on the show, they are continuously just hinting at the idea that Spider-Man and Spider-Woman have a past. That's at no point ever explained. Were they a thing? Were they friends? Or just allies? It's very odd because Spider-Man only guest stars 2 times, which was included in the pilot episode. So, I don't understand what was their history. Overall, it comes across very much like they're just trying to make her come across like a female Spider-Man, which was an impression a lot of people got from her, which is unfortunate because the character is very different than just being a female Spider-Man. This series would also invent 2 supporting characters, a love interest and a random child, neither of whom were interesting enough for me to remember their names. And I watched the entire series, which is honestly where I think this show falls. Because, well, I'll be honest, I actually like part of the series, and that's the Spider-Woman parts. But here, Spider-Woman is not really the main character of her own show. It's an ensemble between her, the love interest, and this random child. But these random supports are just plain boring. No motivation except for one's a love interest, and one is a child who is just, for some unknown reason, really, really stupid. And I'm well aware kids' shows don't have to be deep, but it is odd, because I feel as if Spider-Woman is actually pretty fleshed out here, and where she stands when it comes down to her relationship with Basic White Boy here. But Basic White Boy just has no emotions, like, at all. Although in the pilot, I will give him this, he gets beat up by a mummy, which was pretty funny. He gets thrown out the window, by the way. He's thrown out a window by a mummy, and then the Spider-Woman has to catch him. It was honestly really funny. Go watch that. It was like in the first 10 minutes or so in the episode. It was honestly, in my opinion, the best part of the entire series when I get pushed out the window. Because he's like, oh, I'll protect you, go. And then he gets thrown out a window by a mummy. But on that note, since Spider-Woman had no lore or any villains, they had to make up her own villains. Or they would give her other villains from other Marvel characters. And honestly, I think this is where the show kind of falls again. Because the other villains from the comics, in my opinion, are okay. But the villains that they invent themselves are very obviously, original characters. Because they're not original at all. They're like a mummy or a crime boss or just something random. And who are the villains they brought in? You'd think they would reinvent Spider-Man ones, but no. Instead, they used Daredevil villain Kingpin, Doctor Strange villain Dormammu, and Blade villain Dracula. That is a really weird lineup to go with. They also weirdly make Dormammu green and call him Dormammu, which I thought Spider-Man was actually making fun of him at first, but no, they pronounced his name Dormammu on the show. Overall, the series is meh. Unfortunately, this is the only female lead superhero cartoon from Marvel. If you're interested, it's actually on Disney+. And I just say, even though I was making fun of it, I actually prefer the Dormammu episode over the rest, because I thought it made Spider-Woman come across as the actual hero of the episode, rather than making it an ensemble like the others. Anyways, that's it. Like always, please like, subscribe, and see you guys next time. Bye!